for me because there's zero risk of getting guillotined.
Mhm.
And, I can defend it for sure. But I don't like guys cranking on my neck, even if they're not going to finish me, because I don't want to risk it, because I've hurt my neck multiple times before. So it's just kind of not worth it. Why would I do that if I could just take it down with inside trip and foot sweeps?
Right.
But now I'm much more confident with my single. You're using these 3 kalatai things, clears, and then you're faking the shot. But how much are you faking it? How do you make him believe it? And you're really introspectively thinking about it, and the coach is kind of guiding you, right? Sell the shot, elbow pass, right? Angle push, right? You're not driving into him first. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Shintaro Higashi Show with Peter Yu. Today we have a very special episode. What I learned from wrestling with Rei Higuchi. He's an Olympic champion. Just this past summer, 2024 Paris Olympic champ. Unbelievable wrestler, dude. And I had a chance. I was hired, actually, as an interpreter.
Yeah. So it's a very exciting opportunity you had. So can you give us more background? So you are hired as interpreter. How did Rei end up in the States?
So one of the biggest Cornell donors, he's a very influential man with Cornell Wrestling. And if you don't know the world of wrestling, Cornell is a powerhouse. Yeah. And obviously Cornell's an Ivy League school. It's a great place to be. Competes with Peter's alma mater. What was it again, Peter? What school did you go to?
I don't know, some school in Jersey.
Yeah, Princeton. Yeah, he's such a Princeton snob. But anyway, so he's a hugely influential guy, and he flew Higuchi.
We don't compete at wrestling, though. Cornell's way better at wrestling than us.
We'll destroy Princeton. Princeton's terrible. No, I'm not. I should say that. Yeah, they're very good, too. But anyway, he was here, and they really wanted a Japanese-English translator who speaks wrestling.
Yeah.
Because if you would have had just a regular Japanese, I'm sure there's a million people more qualified than me to translate English and Japanese, right? Because my Japanese isn't it's not academic Japanese. It's not, I can't talk about politics or economic stuff. But this is the thing. I speak wrestling. So if you're kalatai, throw by, high crotch, crackdown, et cetera, what Japanese interpreter is going to be able to translate that to Japanese wrestling terminology, which is a whole new language.
Yeah, such niche.
It's the most niche thing you can imagine. It's like, all right, we need a guy who understands wrestling at a relatively high level.
Yeah.
Right? Because the guy who hired him, it's not just like, go teach a seminar on a single legs and, a couple of things here and there. It was like a week-long thing, like multiple sessions, deep diving. The guy who hired us is very, very knowledgeable. He's a student of the sport. He analyzes it super high level. So he had very specific questions.
I
specifically
see.
Clipped out certain matches, like 2019 World Championships, quarterfinals. This is what you did, minute 2. I want you to ask him about that, right? So you need to be able to kind of have the knowledge of wrestling, Japanese terminology for wrestling, judo, American English terminology. Yeah, exactly. So it was a very niche thing, and just basic, interesting things that I figured out was fireman's carry in Japanese, the literal translation. No, it's airplane throw.
Oh, they don't say a kataguruma.
And at first I was like kataguruma, because I figured, and he goes, he's like, people do call it that. We know what it is, and it's the same move from judo, but we call it Hikoki nage.
Oh, Hikoki nage.
The literal translation is airplane throw, which is kind of crazy,
Oh, I see. That's interesting. We'll talk about this nomenclature too, because we had a dedicated episode for that a long time ago. But can you first start us off by giving us the rundown of Rei as a wrestler, which weight class?
Lightweight, 57 kilograms. Yeah, really, really lightweight.
Freestyle, right?
Freestyle.
Yeah.
And he has a very decorated career.
Yeah.
Right. He went to the Olympics twice, 2016 and 2024. So in an 8-year span.
Oh, what happened in Tokyo?
Or 12-year span. He didn't qualify during Tokyo. Right?
Oh, okay.
But he had a very, very long career. He took silver the first time, and then he took a gold this time.
So he's not really a young man anymore in terms
of... He's 28.
Okay.
Yeah. So in terms of lightweight wrestling, he's at the tail end of 20 is pretty old for that.
Yeah.
Heavyweight's another story. We all know this.
Yeah.
There's guys in heavyweights that are pushing 40. Because lightweight's so dependent on reaction and speed and all this stuff. Right. But he has the perfect style for it. And I'll talk a little bit about that,
Yeah. Well, why don't we talk about that? What's his signature move? What's his strength?
Single leg takedown.
Single leg takedown.
In Japanese, it's a one-legged tackle. That's what they...
One-legged tackle.
Yeah, so it's katashi takuru. That's one... Literally, tackle of the one-legged is like the way they say it. And in America, snatch single, sweep single, traditional single, low single, there's many different variations of it. That's it.
Yeah.
One term.
Right. Just tackle. Like one-legged tackle.
All single legs.
I think in Korea they also call it tackling instead of shooting. But anyway, okay, that's interesting.
And I don't want to get too deep nitty-gritty into the technical side of it, because you know what I mean? A lot of it was a closed practice. I did some amazing things. So, I'm not trying to like just, throw all the information, but I want to make it correlated to judo and jiu-jitsu, because most of our listeners of that, and maybe wrestlers would tune in. I don't know. It might be interesting for them, but I want to make it a little bit more about the common threads and what I learned overall, the biggest points for our community. Because if I go deep into the thing about like wrist control and this and 2-on-1s and blah blah blah, I feel like we'll lose everybody.
So all right, so 57 kilo decorated wrestler coming to train with, like, run seminars with the Cornell wrestling team.
No,
it wasn't. No. Okay,
he was here for a week to teach this guy's kids wrestling.
Oh, the kids.
He has 4 kids, and then this is the thing, right? He's a Cornell donor. He has a very, very close connection with the Cornell team, so he brought him up there to prepare, certain people and meet people and this and that and connection.
Oh, so like
we were there for 3 days. We were in New York, New Jersey for like 3 days. We did sessions here, and then we were in Cornell for 3 or 4 days. By the way, that program up there, unbelievable.
Yeah,
seriously, blew me away. They have a own dedicated building, top program. On the mat, you have like Yanni, Vito. You have this kid that was just a U20 world champion. So you really have the cream of the crop. You get like 5-6 dudes that are already established at the super highest level. And they're all in the thing together, and they have income. There was a kid there. Gabe Boysu was there. Serge Boysu's kid. Serge Boysu, Kwanchi, Rhode Island. Huge judo figure, wrestling figure, all this stuff. His son was there. As like just wrestling. And I was like, oh my God. Boysu, what's up?
And there was a bunch of cross-pollination between judo and wrestling there.
There were a bunch of people with judo influence there. For instance, like there was this kid Ryder from California, big judo kid, wrestled growing up, did judo growing up also, and now he's there for wrestling. A Japanese American kid, that was pretty cool. A lot of guys are like, "Yo, my dad did judo."
Okay.
Meyer Shapiro right now, current U20 world champion, wrestling on the Cornell roster. His dad's a judo guy.
Oh, okay.
So very cool.
So all right, so that's a scene like a bunch of different. Obviously college wrestlers, and I guess he taught the kids too. So like,
so we did like a kid session there, and when we went to Cornell, Vito Arajau, who just made the world championship team for the U.S., huge deal. His dad runs a wrestling club out in Long Island. Everybody knows Vogar Arajau. Everybody knows Vogar, right, in New York wrestling. And I met him before because I wrestled Chris Weidman in college.
Yeah.
And then Vogar was coaching Chris Weidman when I was wrestling in college, and he was like, "Don't tie up, don't slide by." And guess what? Weidman wouldn't tie up, slide by, take me down, slide by, take me down, and then I
remember you told me this, like we wanted to throw Chris, right?
Oh, of course, that was my thing. I was a thrower. I wasn't really wrestling at a high level. I had no top bottom. I was just trying to force the tie up and throw. But Weidman was lead leg left, and he had a very good slide by. And then so every time I would go to tie up, he would just slide the arm across and then just take me down. And it was very, very – it was a big mismatch in our wrestling skill set. I got destroyed. But Vogar was coaching him, and now his son Vito, world team, and he's up there training at Cornell. And I got to see Vito versus Higuchi. I'm not going to talk too much about that, because it was a closed thing.
Yeah.
And then, I'm standing by. He was like, "Oh, we're gonna do 2 matches, whatever it is. Take as much time as you need between the breaks." And then he would ask me questions. I would interpret it and blah blah blah. And then they would talk technique afterwards. Hey, what did you? What was the reaction? What were you looking for there? Hey, did you know that I was gonna go for that? Hey, can you show me that ankle lace thing that you did? And I was right there in all of it. You know?
This was like a very high level. Like everyone was an expert wrestler there, and then they were just like sharing experience and asking questions and all that. Like it was like beginner oriented seminar.
Even though like the little kids, right? Even though those are kids, the father is a wrestling savant.
Oh, okay. The one that invited everyone.
Russ watches every night. He watches. He has a database Of all the top wrestlers, he scouts them, he watches them, he has notes on them, he has files and files and files on every single wrestler that's out there, in the world in the NCAA, right? So he's a savant himself. So he's getting Higuchi to coach his kids, but a lot of the questions are coming from the dad, and he's asking these really, really good questions that are deep diving, super specific stuff he's asking, because a lot of these champions have unconscious knowledge. They do certain things. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'll give you an example.
They don't know how to verbalize, right?
Yeah. So he's asking Higuchi about his single leg, and he goes, "Oh yeah, this is how I do it. I lead the front leg bot, shows a single leg." And the guy goes, "No. I want to know when you put the back knee down and when you put the front knee down, and the physical cues for it, and what are the differences? When do you go for the back knee down single? When do you go for the front knee down single?" And the kid's like, he's kind of like,
"I don't know."
yeah, I don't know. Let me try to figure it out. Yeah. And he goes, look. Pulls out video clip here. Look, the knee goes on here. This match is here. And then you're doing these two different shots. And this is my theory. What do you think about it? And then he's like deep diving, thinking about it, working it through. And he's like, yes, actually, the distance of that lead leg matters when I decide whether I put the front knee or the back knee down. And here's the reasoning why. Right. And then there would be sort of a counter thing to that. It's like, okay, what are the cues for that?
I see.
Cheat step thing, like, hey, I noticed you don't do the cheat step, but sometimes you do. Why? Is there a reason why, like, you do certain things and how? And then it's like, I show the cheat step when I take a shot, to telegraph it a little bit. Yeah. So the next time I take that cheat step, they react as if a bad shot was coming.
Right. And then
and then I capitalize on that into an arm drag to the other side, or whatever it is. And then, dude, it was just like such a high level of
I know.
It's
crazy, yeah.
And I got more out of that, hearing the guy ask questions to the champion, because I've been around Olympic gold medalists who can't explain anything that they're doing. I've been to seminars with Olympic champions where I was like, this is a huge waste of my time.
Yeah.
I've been to many, many seminars like that.
Like things like, they're showing the classic textbook techniques when they themselves don't even do it that way.
Yeah, it's like, I remember I asked like a champion one time, Sode, can you show me your Sode? And he's like, yeah, you go like this, you go like that, you go like this, and you go like that. And it's like, no, like
the way you do it.
Yeah, and back then I didn't have the ability to be able to like deep dive into it. It's like, how do you set it up? And that's even that is like too basic of a question. Well, I set it up when the ham goes across the body. I go to the sleeve and I go like this. Okay, how do you bait that position? How do you know when that position's coming?
So let's kind of talk about this father that organized everything a little bit. Like, how was he a wrestler himself?
Yeah, he wrestled Cornell.
Oh, okay. So he was a wrestler himself. So
Division I, good wrestler.
He's a phenomenal wrestler.
Yeah, good wrestler. I mean, different era. He's 50, and he's just kind of been around wrestling his whole life. Loves it. And honestly, I don't think I've ever met anyone that deep dives into grappling that much.
I see.
And he doesn't even do it anymore, obviously. So it's like,
but then do his kids love wrestling?
Probably. I don't know. Yeah, we're not going to talk about his kids.
Okay.
Probably.
I was just like curious about like how.
So he's training his kids.
Yeah.
He has a training pod. Yeah. A lot of the guys, I realize, some of the top champions, they don't put him in a wrestling club somewhere and just, set it and forget it. They don't do that.
Yeah.
A lot of these dads take it into their own hands. And, I had a little bit of that.
Yeah.
When, I would do judo 2 or 3 times a week at the dojo. Well, my dad would come home and be like, go put on a gi. And it was like the worst. You know what I mean?
Why?
I'm sitting there eating chocolates and watching TV, and my dad's like, go get your gi. And you're like, God damn it. Like, because my dad's going to start yelling and screaming and, it's so weak. And why are you so weak? And go give me some push-ups. You can't even do this many push-ups. And it just becomes this thing of like, the tears start coming.
Yeah.
My mom starts chiming in, and then, my dad, just shut up. Shut up, but like,
Yeah.
And then it's like, then she bakes me a cake, and then it's like I'm getting fat, and I'm eating my mom. It was a mess. You know what I mean? So I've been through that.
Yeah,
but a lot of these guys, and that was a bad example of a pod. But these guys have their kid, 2 or 3 training partners for each kid, and it's this symbiotic thing where now all of a sudden you have a room of 10 kids.
I see.
You know, and I was able to talk to Yanni, who's one of the best grapplers right now in the U.S. He's a legend now at this point, right? 4-time NCAA champion finalist, one of those guys. Seriously, one of the most dominant wrestlers right now, currently. And he grew up like that.
I see.
Since he was a little boy, all the way till like he went away to college, his dad had his basement wrestling thing, 15 kids, and he goes, every single kid in that room trained every day, minimum state finalist, minimum.
Yeah,
he goes, every single one of those kids got a full ride to college, and now you have the NIL, name, image, and likeness. And they'll give you $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
You're wrestling 4 years, they'll give you $400,000 to wrestle on top of your ride. So these things,
so free college with free college, and you make money too.
But could you imagine? You go to Cornell, you wrestle 4 years, you walk away with $400,000, no debt, with a Cornell degree,
Ivy League diploma.
Dude, what a huge event! And wrestling could give that now. Wrestling, you could have that, you know. And then so
that's crazy.
These pods, it's like a whole new thing. And I was kind of thinking to myself too, like, you know, like maybe because I've taken my kid to a bunch of dojos, including my own. Yeah, so the pod is amazing. Like you have the NIL now, name, image, and likeness, and then you get $100,000 a year to wrestle. So you could go to Cornell University, get $400,000 on top of your scholarship for no debt coming out. You have an Ivy League degree and $400,000 in your pocket. Forget it, dude. You're in a golden opportunity here, all because of a lot of grappling, and a lot of these kids wrestled in a pod. And you know what? Yes, they go to Vogards or whatever it is, and they do these open mat or like training sessions. But a lot of that learning happens in these small group settings. You got 40 kids in a room in a wrestling club, you know, and I'm going through it with my kid, dude. I've taken her to everything, you know, really judo, jiu-jitsu, not just judo, jiu-jitsu, but like ballet and this and that and after school. And majority of it is just trash and a waste of time because they fill the time with all these useless things that everyone's always done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of it is just class management. And if the business matters, right? It's a business-driven thing, and you're talking about numbers and filling the room and having teachers controlling the kids and this and classroom management. It's a completely separate thing. The goal is to make money, use every space and time, and then keep the kids coming back. That's very different. And yes, kids can excel in that. But having a whole pod, 5 to 10 people with dedicated training partners, 2 hours uninterrupted, where you're just drilling technique, doing technique with a really, really smart analytical grappler teaching you. It's a whole new ballgame. You know?
So this pod is not part of a scholastic process, right? Like it's like a ad hoc private thing.
I mean, so a lot of these guys I know have done it. Yeah. You know, and they do it in Japan too a little bit. You know what I mean?
So like, how do these get organized? Like how is it like sustainable? I'm saying like it's not. You just kind of have to be lucky, right? It's not really. It doesn't sound that systematic. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, there's always a crazy grappling dad in every sport who's very knowledgeable, right? And then you just kind of network and figure your way out. You know, all these guys. Now I was exposed because of this whole thing to some of the dads are the best wrestlers in their age group, 8 to 12, that age range. And I was talking to those dads, and bro, they know everybody. They go to these things, they network, they have like, oh, this kid's the best, that kid's the best. You know, this kid, no one knows because he's never competed, but he's taking down all the best top kids in the country right now. We're going to go see him in Pennsylvania, right? This is where he trains. We're going to go there. We're going to see him. We bring it back. We train our kids. We coach our kids, you know, and they have coaches who are technical coaches. And some of the dads are like, yo, I didn't wrestle. I don't know, but I'll take them certain places. And then they sort of like around the network of stuff get pulled into the orbit of some of these guys who run these little pods, and now the rest is history. You know what I mean?
I see.
They get and you know, it's a win-win really most of the time, because the guy who's running it majority of the time is he's doing it for his kid.
Yeah.
You know, I know tons of judo coaches now who run dojos
for their kids,
second to their careers.
Yeah,
for their kid. I spoke to Chuck Jefferson. He has kids. He's running a dojo now. And I was like, oh, dude, I never thought you'd just kind of have he's like, yeah, I do it for kids, man. You know, I want to build a dojo for my kids so I can kind of be there with them and spend time with them. And if you're running a dojo and your goal is to make your kid into a champion and you're at a dojo day and night, and then, you know, it's like you don't have to pay for babysitting. It's like, all right, kid gets out of school, I pick my kid up and we're going to the dojo together. that kid's going to get one-to-one sessions with me, maybe a couple of pod sessions with like some of the best grapplers in the class or the school or wherever it is or other gyms. And then we have kids program, and that kid's going to teach the little kids. And then that kid's going to do the older kids class, and he's going to stick around while the adults are going.
Right.
But, it's very difficult to do, I think, and foster a love for grappling because a lot of these kids, you see all these successful kids and some of them can burn out.
Options. Yeah, burn out, other options.
But we'll do a dedicated episode about, pod training. And it's something that I'm also considering myself for my daughter. Like I said, man, a lot of programs I put my kid in, and, because I am who I am, 95% of what's out there is dog shit. Like even ballet, dude. Because, you know me, I did 2 years of ballet.
Yeah.
And you know what? Even in ballet, I networked my way in with the top level gays and the girls who were freaking crushing ballet at the New York City Ballet at the professional level. I'm talking like core principal dancers, all those guys. I had the teacher who loved, you remember that guy? He loved me.
Yeah.
He coached Amar.
I remember.
He was the first Indian principal dancer of the New York City Ballet.
Yeah.
And he became my teacher because he freaking loved me. Maybe he was trying to bang me. I don't really know, right? I kept my boundaries straight. I was like, yo, bro, don't touch me. But I'll come to your class, right? And then you get exposure to that. And then he also had little pod training sessions.
I remember he had a little like posse going on. He had a posse.
He would teach at steps. He would teach over here. He would teach over there. And there was a group of dudes, right? Because they're, he's mostly teaching for male, whatever it is. They would follow him around. The girls too. They would follow him around to everywhere he taught. Outside of the other stuff that they were doing, because they believed he had like a secret sauce, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I got pulled into that, and I was like, whoa, this isn't like just doing regular bar with Gen Pop.
Yeah.
Even the intermediate advanced class, this is way different because when you're in those classes and when there's 45 people in there, yes, some of those chicks are pros.
Yeah.
But the teacher's walking around maybe gives extra attention to 2 or 3 people in the room. That's it. They walk around and they'll say your name once and give you 1 or 2 corrections. That's it. But you're in a pot of 5. That hour and a half is worth like a month of training, right?
Yeah,
and that's why
I remember when you invited me. Like I had never done ballet before.
But you went to Saturday morning intro. This is
I know, different. But even then, like I got extra attention thanks to you. Because I was your friend and I had hung out with him before and just I learned more probably because of that.
And so these things I think exist everywhere, and if you're extremely likable, coachable, has a little bit of talent and you're dedicated, I think you can get into these rooms where future champions are sort of bred,
I mean, so this story reminds me of all these dads stepping in like LPGA, like the one of the key reasons Korean ladies golfers dominate is because a lot of times their fathers would like drag them to every practice, even if they are not golfers themselves. They'll study everything and they'll just kind of go after all the best coaches. It's not really a team sport, so you don't need a pod per se, but like and I think that's why a lot of times children of athletes also become successful athletes, professional athletes themselves, because they have this, pod or network.
Yeah, the network, and you speak the same language. And you see it in chess. I'll give you an example. My cousin, not Eugene, the older brother, was like a child prodigy, off the charts IQ. And he started playing chess, and he was a super high level chess player from the time.
I didn't know Ken played chess. Yeah,
from like 3 or 4 years old to like 9, 10 years old.
Oh wow,
super high level, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember his rating or anything like that.
Yeah.
But he, one time, played a game with, they have Bobby Fischer, the legendary kid. His coach, one of his coaches, is Russian dude, right? And then he played a game with him. Bang, 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 right? It was like a blitz
Bobby Fischer's coach?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Super high level guy, right? And then he goes, I don't take, students. I don't teach anymore. I'm done. I'm retired. I don't do shit anymore. But I will teach your son. Yeah, and then then those guys were like, my aunt was like, nah, we can't really afford to pay this thing and that, and he's right? Whatever it is, and it was a situation, and the guy goes, "I do for free."
You know what this reminds me of?
What?
The Williams sisters, the tennis stars.
Yeah, it
That's
happens. It happens everywhere.
Everyone's gotta check out the movie King Richard, and it's kind of fascinating how their dad, he was not a rich man from Compton, so he kind of basically did this, like convince coaches that his daughters are phenomenal, so that they will coach them for free.
Yeah, even me, man, I've done that. I'll teach your autistic kids for free. I will lift with you at 6 a.m, etc., etc. And they freaking quit. And I had a few of those things.
Not everyone works out.
I had a few of those, and now I'm just like, forget it. I'm never doing this shit again. But if it was for my kid, it might be a different story.
Yeah.
Right? For my kid, and then have a couple of training partners that I could bring in the room with them. But I think it's very tough thing to do, and it's risky. You put your kid in something like that, and majority of the time, it's not a financial incentive to do so. It's because I want your kid to train my kid, right, and all this stuff. But you get wrapped up in the wrong coach, and you can't, and this is wonderful. Look at these accolades that this guy has. Maybe he's not a great coach, or maybe you just don't know, right? So you have to be an educated consumer, but these pods exist.
Yeah,
it's a real thing. But this isn't about pod training. We're talking about Higuchi.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We kind of got sidetracked here. So so you kind of saw how these pods benefited from Rei Higuchi. So what else happened? You can't really talk. You said you can't really talk about what they actually share.
I could talk about anything I want, really. But what I really want, it's not because I don't want to talk about this. I want to talk about other things, like for instance, the common thread.
What's
Judo,
the common thread?
Jiu-jitsu and wrestling.
Yeah. And I think this pod training is kind of one of the common threads. Like, to be champions, you kind of need this kind of environment.
This is an interesting sidetrack thing, digression.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. The most fascinating thing.
Okay.
Right? And the way I got to the singularity.
Okay.
You know what? You're a science nerd. Explain to us the singularity.
I don't know if the analogy works here, but singularity is like in the middle of the black hole where nothing can escape. Well, I guess that's the event horizon, and singularity is like the focal point where all the mass is concentrated, I guess.
And that's where the answer exists to tie all of modern physics together. Isn't that correct? Right?
No one knows what's in there, so I don't know if there will be a lot of things that we could study. I don't know. I'm not a physicist.
In there, the God particles in there, and that's going to give us the answers. Right?
We don't know what's in there.
And I found the singularity.
Yeah. So singularity of grappling. You're going to define this.
I found it.
Yeah. What is it?
I can't go. I want to preface it and then build it up a little bit. The way I got to this was I'm trying to translate wrestling, and in American wrestling, you're talking about this position, that position, even the kata, inside position, elbow grip, this grip, that grip, whatever it is, inverted wrist, cross wrist, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Japanese don't have names for any of it.
That's
I go collar tie, right leg lead, elbow grip. And he's like, well, we don't really call it that. I was like, what do you call it? It's just kumite.
Kumite, like
gripping, hand fighting. And we do call it kumite or kumikata.
Yeah,
kumite, like hand, right?
Kumikata is the
linking
technique.
hand.
Yeah.
Kumikata, the way to link.
Yeah.
Right? So kumikata and judo, kumite and judo, right?
Yeah.
They have identical in wrestling, in Japanese, with no position specified. The only thing that was specified was lead leg right, lead leg left, kenkayotsu, aiotsu.
Aiotsu, yeah.
Right? So
just like in judo, yeah.
Just like in judo.
Yeah.
They don't specify that. They never specify lead leg right, lead leg left, whatever it is. Of course, if they're leading with their left leg, you're leading with your right leg, you shoot the single on the front leg, whatever. They do this stuff. Right? But there's not as much focus on it. And judo is a lot of focus on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Kenkayotsu, right versus left strategy. Aiotsu, right versus right strategy. Gripping's very different. Gripping's a little bit different. Wrestling-wise also.
Yeah.
Okay? Push-pull. Kumite. Kuzushi. Kuzushi.
They say Kuzushi?
Angle. Right? Push-pull. Kuzushi, angle. Push, pull, angle, Kuzushi. Push, Kuzushi, angle, Kuzushi. You see this? Well, that's the singularity.
Are you saying those are the core concepts?
Push, pull, Kuzushi, angle, 4. Angle. Right? Okay. And then I was working out with Glick on Wednesday. Yeah. Another world level guy, by the way. Just all sorts of world level these days. Yeah. Doing jiu-jitsu with him. And we're doing some guard work and we're rolling. And from bottom, push, pull, off bounce, angle off, underhook, leg, wrestle up. Right?
Yeah.
Glick's on bottom, we're working out. He's going for it on the hook, pushing, angling my body. He's trying to angle me away by off bouncing, keeping my balance. He's trying to take my balance and try to angle off, right? Create a flank position. Mm-hmm. And as I'm pressuring in, he's trying to off balance me. Push, pull, angle, Kuzushi. Right? I saw it in wrestling. I saw it in jiu-jitsu. And then I went to judo at night and I'm teaching stuff. Mm-hmm. And I realized I don't push too much pressure forward. I don't teach that as much. But if you look at the best Japanese, they push. They pull off bounds, feint, angle off, attack the feet. And I was like, that is the singularity of grappling, period.
I think the better term, if you want to use this kind of physics reference, is grand unified theory of grappling.
Singularity. I love it. because the analogy of we're peering into the black hole, right? We don't know what's really there. And whatever we might find in there, whether it's the Higgs field or the Higgs boson particle or whatever it is, right, may unify all of physics. And you heard it here first. The singularity of grappling, push, pull, off bounce, angle. And even angle is kind of a tricky theory, right? Tricky idea. Because if you're dead facing each other, I take a right, he takes a left, we're still mirroring each other, right? But it's the idea of the person facing away, but you're facing them. That's what the body angle is. How to game for that, push, pull, and when he's pushing back, right, you're angling off, driving and taking him off, and then when he goes to push back, you change levels, and now he's off balance.
Right.
Same thing in judo. You grab the sleeve, push across, he's pushing back, overhead, pull the head down, and then you go for a turn throw, right? Singularity.
Okay, so that's very interesting because it's also kind of funny that you bring up physics because I think.
I just watched Interstellar the other day on TV. That's why.
Interstellar?
That's the only reason why.
No, I say this. I'm kind of sidetracking, but just to keep it short, and it's kind of fun to think about this. Like in physics, there's a very big chasm between quantum mechanics and theory of relativity. It's just mathematically, it's not reconcilable. So everyone's goal's been to find the grand unified theory that could bring both of them together.
Yes.
And a lot of theories have been proposed to be like that. String theory is one, and I would say some people say, oh, maybe, like you said, like if we peer into singularity, we can find something, but we just are not capable. But in this, bringing that back to grappling, we have these competing theories, right? Or like quantum mechanics and theory of relativity. There's judo, there's BJJ, and there's wrestling. But your goal, and a lot of grapplers' goal is to unify all of that to make this grand unified theory of grappling, the best style, whatever. And your theory, kind of like how people have proposed things like string theory and the Higgs boson and all that, is an attempt, like in this case, push, pull, Kuzushi, off balancing and angle, is
not in that order, but any
order, in that it's your theory that could be the basis for the grand unified theory of grappling.
And me having never taken physics since 10th grade, these four pieces work integrally together. It's like up quark, down quark, right quark, left quark.
Hey,
I am CERN. That's what I am.
Yeah, if you're a physicist, comment down below and then just call out our bullshit. Yeah, but
I'm not trying to claim any of this stuff as real physics, by the way. Yeah, like I just said, I just saw.
But it's funny. Okay, so these four concepts. So like, intuitively, yes, it makes sense. Like that's like the basis of everything. So what? Having spent time, almost a week with Ray, and what? So why did you? What did you notice specifically about these four concepts? Like how they translate from wrestling, how they apply to wrestling and judo and BJJ. Like any specific incidents, like it about his single leg or anything like that.
So he really said, right, as he's teaching, there's 3 phases of grappling, really.
Yeah.
There's the hand fighting, or kumite, right? And this is all push, pull, angle off, whatever it is. And there's the actual shot, which is the technique equivalent to judo. And then there's entanglements. That's what he said. There's 3 phases, right? And then judo is the same. You know, you're grip fighting, you enter ochi or something. That's the execution of the technique. And then sometimes that goes to osoto. Sometimes you resist a certain way, you try to cut back, whatever it is.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And now all of a sudden we're in this entanglement.
Mm-hmm.
And then it can translate from there to the ground, and then it continues, right? So that is like sort of the fundamental structure, framework. And within that, the way he puts together all these different things, maybe 3 or 4 things for each position, each idea, and then how they integrate with each other so seamlessly, and it's systemized, right? And it feels like he's a million times faster than you. But then after spending a week, we're talking about running, lifting. He's telling me he's very slow at sprinting. He's not a fast sprinter. He's like, if you look at every single wrestler, senior level wrestler in Japan, I'm definitely at the bottom half when it comes to this stuff. Right? And he has a system that he created. Like, for instance, his ankle lace is completely different than how anyone else in the world does it. It's the opposite. And I don't want to go deep into it and giving out the secret sauce over here, right? Because, you know, it's privileged information. They should have maybe signed a non-disclosure. You know? But anyway, without going too much in, he invented it, this system.
You know, to compensate for his physicality.
Maybe yes, maybe no. And, you know, we were asking him, like, yo, how did you come up with that? You know?
Yeah.
And he goes, trial and error. I failed at 99% of the stuff that I tried with this stuff. I could never do it as good as the other guy. And I had a hunch that this was one of those things, and I explored it and I got to it. You know? And it really required the genius of the guy who brought him here to be able to draw that information out.
Yeah.
You know? And it also required the genius of me as an interpreter to pull that information out of him.
Yeah.
In a very respectable way that has, you have to take into account, right? This guy's Japanese, you know?
Yeah.
And then when he's given his answers, it's kind of following up, diving a little bit deeper and asking the right questions to kind of bring everything to the surface.
Yeah.
And then I could bring it back to the other dude who's a genius. So we just had 3 geniuses in the room.
Yeah.
Really, that's just what that's just what it came down to.
I mean, that's when amazing things happen, when, you know,
man, you got to be in the room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when do you ever get a chance to sit around with an Olympic gold medalist for a week?
Yeah.
And have exposure to that.
Yeah.
Not just me in the room, but with another guy who is feeding some of these, a super analytical guy, you know, businessman, genius, really. And what an incredible experience, you know. And I've been around Olympic champs in judo multiple times.
Yeah.
You know, they taught me the most useless shit. And it was the most underwhelming experience. I'll tell you. And I was like, what? But that was also good, because I was like, if this guy is an Olympic champ, maybe I could be too, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, this is completely disregarding how much work they put in, you know, what sort of training centers they're at, accessibility to coaches, and then physical. There's a million different other factors that kind of go into like whether an athlete becomes successful or not. But, you know, this is just kind of a small piece of it, you know?
Yeah. So having established this new grand unifying theory, your singularity, whatever you put it, push, pull, Kuzushi, and angle. So what can we...
So that's like, just mostly for the setting up portion, right?
Yeah.
Because if you have
like a framework for...
I mean, because that's the first point of contact for gripping and fighting, hand fighting, and all that stuff. If you have great hand fighting, it's very difficult to get in on a shot.
Yeah.
And if you have very good gripping, it's very difficult for someone to throw you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's where everything sort of starts.
Yeah.
And then you have the actual attacks. And even when you're attacking, there's the entanglements, and then you go back to the attack, and then it goes right back to hand fighting and gripping. Right.
Yeah.
So it's like sort of this flowing thing from one thing to another. And each one of those pieces have 2 or 3 options. And then the mental side of it is showing that you're going to do something and doing something else, like a misdirection thing that I talk about in judo all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
You're setting up shots 40 seconds later into the match. So you're almost like a time traveler.
Yeah.
Like in Interstellar.
You're really into this physics move right now.
I watched the movie. That's why.
Yeah.
If I would have watched The Martian, it would have been a different. I would have.
Another great movie, another great book too. Everyone should
didn't read the book.
Just saw the movie. I love the book. Anyway, so how can we? Yeah.
Let me tell you about rationing your food on Mars. Tell you about it. You got to ration your calories throughout the week when you're grappling.
Growing potatoes too in your backyard.
Mine potatoes and eat them.
Yeah. So how can we apply this concept in our day-to-day training as hobbyists? I mean, I feel like a lot of these things probably come naturally with after hours and days and years of training for champions, professionals. But how can we hobbyists utilize these concepts?
Man, this is almost too valuable to give away for free on a podcast.
Yeah.
So I want to thank our sponsors.
Yeah.
You want us to thank our sponsors, Peter?
Yeah, Jason, Drew. Wait, Jason Levon.
God damn it,
Drew.
Peter.
Yeah. It's your job, as I never like. I always
Drew, Jason, and Levon. Thank you.
Yeah, I got him right. Yeah.
If you appreciate this quality content deep inside the looks of high-level grappling, please, subscribe, like, follow us, give money on Patreon because me and Peter, we're doing this for free. And then judotv.com. Thank you very much. We have the Tokyo Grand Slam coming up. Discount code Shintaro. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to be a commentator. World Veterans Judo Championships are coming up for the IJF. I'm going to also commentate that. So please tune in. Use discount code Shintaro. HigashiBrand.com. We have judo gis, gi pants with pockets, all that stuff. There's a ton of inventory sitting in my basement that I can't wait to get rid of. Please go and buy it. Seriously. My mom just hates it so much.
Yeah, it takes up space, huh?
Yeah, she was like, you need to get a storage unit. And I have to pay for a storage unit.
Yeah.
She's like, you need to get a storage unit. And I'm paying. Actually, starts on Friday, tomorrow. My unit,
you got one. Okay.
I got one because she's so fed up with all this inventory that's sitting in her basement that's just not selling because I have not put any effort into selling it.
Yeah, because you've been like
not like I was in the beginning.
Oh, I see what you mean.
I mean, my social media guy makes 1 or 2 posts and that's it. And then you know, I don't post it on stories. I don't link it on. I haven't in a while, and it's just I gotta push it really. But you guys are listening. Like all this free, very deep, incredible value information.
Please support us. Yeah.
Support us.
Yeah.
Patreon.
Yeah.
All right. So what were we just talking about? What was the question?
Yeah. So how do these things matter to us hobbyists?
Yeah. So you gotta find the proper way to drill. And I hate using the word drill because it's really like the D word. No one does it right. I'm telling you. And I was trying to teach some of this stuff to Glick in the room when he came to work out yesterday. And 3 ways to clear the collar tie was one of the things that we were just kind of doing. Yeah. He does this, he does this, he does that, right?
In the nogi setting.
Wrestling,
yeah. Okay.
What did you just say to me, Peter?
Nogi.
Yeah. So, Aiotsu, hand fighting, clearing the collar tie.
Yeah.
3 ways to do it, how they work together. Right? And then interchangeably doing it. Push, pull, throw by, push, pull, fake the shot, angle, drop the hands, right? Snap down on the hand. And now all of a sudden you have a system, right? You're not teaching, I go here, you go there, I go here, you go there. You're teaching 3 pieces and it's up to you to put it together.
Yeah.
5 minutes, just doing it slowly, and figuring out new paths of how they work together, and then connecting new 3 pieces to things that you already do. For instance, we just talked about 3 ways to clear the kalatai and how that can work with shot feints and arm drags. Right? Now, all of a sudden, you're playing a different ball game. You can spend 20, 30 minutes doing that, just that. And then if you're able to apply that to your already systematized thing, that I go for this, I go for here, right? I try to get to, I want to, whatever it is. It's probably not that good, right? But you're trying to get this new thing, and it really truly becomes like this skill acquisition drill where you're doing it 30 minutes to an hour with the proper guidance, with the proper coaching, within the pod where the coach is sitting there. No. You're not really faking that shot, right? You're faking the shot with your head, but reach with the hand. Maybe the guy's not going to react if you're just juking with your head.
Yeah.
And that was one of the advice that Higuchi gave me.
Oh, okay.
We're hand fighting. It's coming up, the video on Instagram, because I specifically said, hey, let's hand fight.
Yeah.
Can I film it and then put it on Instagram? It'll be good for both of us. And he said, yes, right?
Yeah. So
we're hand fighting, and I'm faking these shots. And 9 times out of 10, I feinted, and everyone sprawls or reacts. He didn't react at all. So I was like, why? You know?
Yeah.
And he was able to give me a very good reason to know why, right? So same idea. You're using these 3 kalatai things, clears, and then you're faking the shot. But how much are you faking it? How do you make him believe it? And you're really introspectively thinking about it. And the coach is kind of guiding you, right? Sell the shot, elbow pass, right? Angle push, right? You're not driving into him first. You're driving him, he's pushing back, you're changing levels for that shot. Now you're faking the shot with a level change, not just your hand, right? So it's 2 different types of feints. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So like this kind of training is insanely valuable. And even now, back in my day in the early 2000s, 45-minute grind matches we used to do.
Yeah.
Every school did it. Hofstra did it. Iowa did it. We did it at Hunter. 45 minutes, pick a partner and just pound the shit out of them, right?
Goodness.
It's not like that.
Yeah.
We're at Cornell on Friday. We wrestle matches. They wrestle 3 matches. That's it. Majority of the training
was the kind of like this conceptual,
conceptual thing. And obviously that example that I used, I didn't get from Cornell or Higuchi. Like that was a drill that I did with Glick, you know? But that's how I do it with Judo too, a lot of these times, right? Because you want to minimize time where they're just freaking battling each other and throwing, and everyone's on self-preservation mode, trying not to get injured, ripping stuff. That's just too dangerous, you know? So having this kind of training methodology where you're stringing together a lot of different ideas, and then it's not a linear track to the takedown or the throw.
Yeah.
Grab here, go there. I fake a thing and I go Kochi and then I go Senagi. Who's going to be able to hit that live? Nobody. Right? You have gripping and the constant time, push-pull, game position, right? Angle off, try to Kuzushi, attacking. And this kind of training, I think, is the best ROI. And a lot of the stuff that they're doing now at Cornell, and even Higuchi trains like this now. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, right? With technique in the morning, lifting in the morning. Tougher evening training sessions with situational training, positional training. Situational is like 30 seconds left, down by 1, 1 minute left, down by 3. Judo, hey, 30 seconds left, you're down by a score.
Yeah.
You know, 1 minute left, you're up 2 Shidos, force 1 more penalty. Those kinds of trainings, that's situational. Positional training, all right, you're out gripped. Let's see, work out of it. You have 40 seconds. Person getting it, you know, for dominant grip, let the person try to don't just try to bomb them.
Yeah.
Situational training, positional training, drilling the proper way, D word, right? Because most people don't drill properly. You know? And then I think that's how you really improve, and it takes a really good skilled coach. You know, I'll give you an example. We're doing leg grabs at the dojo again, and we're doing ochi into a leg pick. You know, everyone kind of doing it wrong, right? But I know exactly what they're doing wrong. Not enough face pressure with the hand on the chin, right? Because we're doing collar. You know what I mean? They're not off bound. They're not driving the hand onto the chin, head over the leg to pick it. You know, everyone making that mistake. I probably wouldn't have been able to catch that 10 years ago. No way. I'll demonstrate it.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, that shit works real good. But when I'm watching it, I'll probably be watching where they're grabbing on the leg. And I may say, you see, like I'm grabbing right below the knee, like right behind the knee with my middle finger, right? I may give details that don't really make a difference. And that where you grab on the leg is dependent on how long that guy's leg is and how long my arms are.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter as much as where my hand is placed on the chin. So like having a coach like that, you know?
I see.
Game changer. Knowledge is what wins, I think. You know, being a genius like me.
Nice.
So yeah, that's my, you know, takeaway. And
it was like a very cerebral experience, huh? Like very scholastic, almost like.
It's like something I needed, I think, because you know I don't get excited about, you know, when they approached me. You want to translate for Olympic champion? I was like, no.
Yeah.
You know? And that was really literally my reaction. I was like, well, I'm going to sit there and translate. Oh, he's hungry. He wants a cheeseburger. You know, he wants pizza. He loves pizza. He's dying to try American pizza.
Oh, gosh.
No way, dude. You know?
Yeah.
What was like my initial thing. Right? And even going into it, I was like, you know.
Yeah.
But then when
I remember, you were telling me you're like, you didn't know what to think of this. Yeah.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
I'm a translator?
Yeah.
In my mind, I'm thinking like, how valuable am I even going to be? Because translation, you know, I'm not like perfect in Japanese. You know, like my Japanese is like smart high school level, early high school level. Reading and writing, forget it. Like middle school level reading and writing.
Yeah.
You know, you give me a newspaper, I'll be like, you know. You know what I mean? So I'm like not qualified really to translate everything in a literal way.
Yeah.
You know, if they were talking about politics, I wouldn't know what to say, you know?
Yeah. Right.
So anyway, it's like I was kind of uncertain. And then when it began and he's showing the single leg, I was like, oh boy, you know. But then when the guy who brought him in was like,
let's break it down. Yeah.
You know, when you get your wrist grabbed, you accept it. Right? Why? And he's like, well, no, I don't want him to grab my wrist. I'll repummel. It's like, do you though?
Yeah.
He's like, look at all these clips. You know?
Yeah.
No, you don't. And then he's like, I was like,
he knows more about Rei than Rei knows about himself.
Yeah. And then I was like this. I was like, what do you mean you accept bad wrist grips?
Yeah.
You just what do you mean? Like he just lets the guy grab his wrist? He goes, yeah. And he shoots off of it. I'm like, what? How does that make sense? I was like, yo, how does that make sense? And the guy's like, he's like, all right, let's figure it out. And post it on the thing. And I grab his wrist and he does something. I'm like, whoa, what was that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, well, you're never going to be in a situation where the guy doesn't grab your wrist. So I do these things, you know? And that's going to be a paid video that I'm going to make. So then I was like, I was like, and then I was like, I cannot wait for the next session. We were like at lunch with like the Cornell coaches, and I was like, man, when the is this going to end? So we go back and
stop eating. Yeah.
You know, and I was like, you know what I mean? I was like itching to get back in the room to ask this guy questions, but mostly not asking questions me personally, but to see what kind of questions this guy had to ask him. So it turned out to be like a very, very fulfilling, enriching thing. And now, you know, I've done 2 practices already since I've been back. Right? I did, you know, judo with Glick, jiu-jitsu with Glick. I went to Essential this morning.
Yeah.
And my shots were 10 times better. Obviously, I've been thinking about leg grabs because you know, the IJF and things like this.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of like, it's something new that I'm exploring again because leg grabs and judo have been taken out for so long, right?
Yeah.
And then with sort of some of this proper clearing, you know, shooting is a lot better. And, you know, my best shot is a high C, which is the most useless in jiu-jitsu because of the neck exposure. And my single leg, I use a knee pull single leg, right? So, you know, the type of a single leg, right?
Yeah.
But now that I've been so exposed and so coached well by these guys and listening in, my single leg was just as good as my high C, which opens a whole new layer of grappling for me because there's zero risk of getting guillotined. And, I can defend it for sure. But I don't like guys cranking on my neck, even if they're not going to finish me, because I don't want to risk it, because I've hurt my neck multiple times before.
Yeah.
It's just like a risk I don't want to take. I don't want to be stuck underneath a guy that's heavy as me. So it's just kind of not worth it. Why would I do that if I could just take him down with inside trip and foot sweeps?
Right.
But now I'm much more confident with my single. So it kind of like opened up a new thing of me, because I was never great at the single. It was like a knee pull single, high C was my thing. And then just forcing ties and throwing was my wrestling game. Zero top bottom. Back in the day. I had zero Newaza too back in the day. Zero.
But now you're becoming a more complete grappler.
Oh, yeah. There's just always so much more to learn.
Yeah.
And Higuchi, we kept asking him, who coached you, who taught you, where did you get these ideas?
Yeah.
A good portion of it, majority of it, was self-taught.
Man, that's I mean, at some point, like, who's gonna teach him these things? Like, at this so high level, and then probably not at this point, like, it's very unique to him too.
Unique to him, and this is the thing, man. People try to copy the champs, but you never see any champions in history has a carbon copy of someone else that preceded him.
Yeah,
it's always something that they kind of synthesize and put together themselves. And a lot of the times, it's not them; it's their coach that helped them put together sort of the synthesized thing.
Right.
Man, this episode is really long. Should we break it into 2 parts?
No, I think we're at a point. We're at a good point to like kind of wrap it up.
We'll do this. Like, we'll air the first 20 minutes, and the rest of it is paid.
Maybe something like that. Yeah. I don't even know how to set that up, but I'll figure something.
I'm kidding.
Well, I'm just like,
I don't know. It's a very good episode, and thank you very much for the person who hired me for that gig. It turned out to be one of the best gigs.
What a serendipitous, like,
Yeah.
That's good. All right. Well, Grand Unified Theory of Grappling. The singularity. Your singularity. Yeah.
I'm going to Google singularity. I really don't know what singularity is, So I'm going to Google it, and I'm going to make my arguments for it through ChatGPT and send it to you.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, man. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. Hope you guys found this very helpful, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.